Hello, everybody. Welcome or welcome back. My name is Monique, and I'm on a financial health journey to create an inheritance for the generations to come. I want to do that through consistency and discipline. Today is Thursday, June the 14th, and I am getting my stuff together and putting it on the side over here. But I am here to do a budget with me for the week of June the 14th through June the 20th. So I do get paid bi-weekly, but I am a weekly budgeter just because I am trying to merge, and we've got this marriage and money thing going on right now. And so for my suite, it makes sense to do a weekly budget. For me, I've done one in the past, so that's why we're doing a weekly budget. So I'm a bi-weekly paychecker, but I am a weekly budgeter. I'd like to thank anybody who's liked or commented on any of my videos, especially those that have chosen to subscribe to my channel. Truly started this as a way to hold myself accountable, but I understand, recognize, and appreciate the community as a whole. So if you're rocking with me on this journey, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you haven't made up your mind yet, sit with me for a spell. At the end of this video, if it's content you find valuable or enjoyable, please feel free to subscribe. I am married. We've got a whole bunch of babies all together, and my sweets and I are trying to figure out a way to merge and come together on our futures, our finances, and our family as well, because we want to make sure that the decisions we're making now don't negatively impact our kids in the future. And so I have now moved to both handling things from a digital standpoint and a manual standpoint. The digital is for me. This is how I manage my money, or our money, or our expenses, and this is what makes sense to him to view as well. We try to come together on Sundays to determine what we've got in and then what should be going out. He'll be looking at this copy, I'll be looking at this copy, so I have to make sure that both of those match together. And so today we'll do the weekly budget. We're going to do it in here, but I've already done it in here to make sure that it matches up. Likewise, yesterday's video that I created was around the budget closeout for last week. I did it here, and then I went here to see if those numbers match up. So I'll give you a good example of that. And I know it's a lot of colors, so don't get crazy. This is just what makes sense to me. You might say this is chaos. Well, then maybe my brain is chaos. But this makes sense to me at the end of the day. This was the total amount that I came up with $1,149 that came in. I showed $699 as the actual as far as what I spent. I showed $340 when it comes to my variable expenses and sinking funds that I wanted to contribute. And when you do all the math in there, you come up with $110. So this version that you're looking at is a digital money tracker form that I found at Ask Me How I Budget. It was for free and it's available there. And then the Baddies and Budgets manual form is the one that I walked through and did the budget closeout for. And for this one, this is their version of it. This is her version of it, like this. So she tracks the money a little bit differently, tracks the income a little differently, the priorities a little differently. But at the end of the day, the numbers, although there were more categories here, the numbers themselves added up to $110. And so that made sense to me. So didn't matter if I did it this way or I did it this way, the numbers were the same, and that's what makes me feel good, because that's what lets me know that I'm on track. So we're going to keep that train rolling, and we're going to do that for the budget with me as well. So I've figured it out over here, and then I put it in here, and this is the version that we're going to talk about now. So one of the things I did try to do to help myself out, am I in or out? I'm out as far as I can go in, so I think we might be good. Okay, so one of the things I tried to figure out here was how to make it easier for me to do my flipping, because I like to flip. So from the monthly overview here, this is the June monthly calendar. Everything that's supposed to come out has already come out. You see, that's the little check marks that you see up in. I think the only thing that we've got is iCloud that still hasn't come out, but it is a subscription, and it is consistent with how much comes out. So I'm not worried about that. I'm not going to mark it out until I actually see the debit out of the account, but that was the last thing for this paycheck cycle. So I use washi tape to outline my paycheck cycle. just to make sure that all of the bills are covered. I have to do that because with a weekly budget, for example, from the 31st when I got paid, my week would have run from the 31st through the 6th for this past week. Or a couple of weeks ago. And so if I would have said, okay, well, I paid all of these bills on my actual budget sheet, and I could have very well spent some of this money, because as you're doing a weekly budget, sometimes you can get caught up, right? So you finish one week and you say to yourself, if you're a bi-weekly, you get paid bi-weekly. You finish one week and you're like, oh, I got money. She got money. And then it turns out she didn't have no money. She didn't have no money. She still had all this stuff that needed to clean out. So I am still tracking using washi tape what I am doing as far as my bills are concerned. Those are documented out and I check mark them off. This is an important step for me, having this monthly overview, because I'm going to talk now, for example, about June 14th through June the 20th, right? And so, but having to come to this page every day to check off these different items keeps in focus that I still have OneDrive, Xerxes Groom. I've got other things that I'm going to have to worry about as far as this pay is concerned as well. So I need to be careful about how I allocate my money. So going from this to, it goes into in these forms, it goes into the weekly, the monthly budget view. Then it gives you the breakdown for every paycheck that you receive. In our case, every week for you to receive. But, you know, all of these pages have already been done. So what I've decided to do is from here, the monthly overview, I am going to link to, this is all June 7th through June 13th. So that's done. That's my weekly check-in and all that information. That's done. So this starts June 14th through June 20th. So I want to go from here to here. So I am using one of the little paper clippy things, whatever you call them. So now, because I think if you watch my budget closeout, you would have seen me flipping. Again, it's just one of the things that you have to get used to when you're dealing with a paper budget. Sometimes is, where's this sheet at? I want to reference back to this page, etc. So this is what makes best sense for me. I'm gonna go from here to here, and I'm gonna use this paper clip to make sure that I stay on track and get where I need to go. All right, so I looked at this calendar and where the bills that we definitely want to make sure are covered between the 14th and the 20th. I wrote all of those in already here. So this is what we're going to talk through now. All right. This is the only thing you're going to see out because all these other pens have messed me up. Yes, you will see more white out today. Sorry, but I'm learning my lesson. So this is a Frixion Clicker 0.07 tip and erasable pen, and I'll be looking for some more of these or some other colors maybe, or whatever I can find, but that it's erasable pens this weekend. All right, so let's look at the income. So y'all know I had to actually go in to my employer's website so that I can see my check to make sure the skinny period is over. I ain't skinny no more. All right, so I had a little bit more money that was taken out of the check. I think I told you guys $140 still needed to be taken out. So that's been taken out for this particular check. So this will go up even more on the next paycheck that I'll receive on June the 28th. But for right now, I had $110 rollover. We've already reconciled that. I'm going to have in my variable account, I'm going to be working with $700. Now, is it more than that? Yes, it is. But there are a couple of things that I'm trying to do and trying to build buffers for, and some other things. So that's accounted for in this. So I removed all of that stuff from there, and we're going to only work with $700 on that one. And then bills account, we're going to be working on $1,500 for that account. When you add all of those together, the total is $2,310 that I will be working with. All right, next is your fixed expenses. So looking at my calendar, tithes, yes, we know. I should go ahead and mark it paid, but I'll leave it alone for right now. Water, I did check, and the auto draft should happen. And This particular form doesn't give you a spot for due dates for anything other than subscriptions. So I'm writing those dates in on the side just to make sure I'm tracking to them. So water is $20. I think it's more like $18.97, but I'm going to round it to 20. And then Lawn Love. Now I should have been, I should have a Lawn Love, as you can see here. I should get my lawn cut today, the 13th, and then pay for it on Monday, and it's usually $75. My lawn does not need to be cut. We have not had any rain at all. It's extremely low, and in fact, I'm a little worried. I feel like I want to water it as well because I had some sod laid down a few years ago, but it's probably fine. Anyway, I don't have to worry about paying Lawn Love this time. I did go ahead and document it down because usually I would have, but you're going to see a zero amount for that, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with that money a little bit later on. So as far as fixed expenses are concerned for just this week, we only have $20 that we have to be concerned about. Next, for variable expenses, those amounts pretty much, several of them have increased. So I am going back up to $320 every week for variable expenses. And that's because I want all of these variable envelopes to get beefed up some in preparation for us starting to use a credit card to pay for our variable expenses, and then unstuffing the cash from the envelopes and putting that in the bank every week to make a payment. So we're about to be adulting pretty soon now. And so this will definitely help with that process to have a little bit more money and flexibility in there. So groceries raised from $80 to $100. Gas stayed the same as $40 a week. Home raised from $30 to $40. Dining raised from $30 to $40. Supplements raised from $20 to $30. Xerxes stayed the same at $10. I'm starting a $10, or I'm starting an extra or a buffer for variable expenses, and we're going to do $10 a week into that. And then I combined myself and Corinne together, not only because I needed another line, I didn't have enough line spaces, but also because these are all cash amounts that I was going to pull. I'm going to pull $30 for me for cash, and Corinne still is at her $20 a week for her allowance, but she wants her money online and just directly placed into her account. So that's what we're going to do there. So I combine those two together, and that's that $50 that you see here. So when you add all of that up together, you get to $320 now for the variable expenses. I wrote a line here because, as I mentioned before, this form is a little bit different than I'm used to. I'm used to forms that have a budget column and a actual column. This does not have those two columns, so I'm going to create it myself. So in a lot of cases, as we go through this form, you'll see me move this stuff over to the side, to the left. And that's because I want to be able to document in the box, not just the budgeted, but the actual as well. So total of that is $320. For Amazon Prime, now that is due on the 20th. This is going to be the first yearly expense as far as the subscriptions are concerned that's going to come out of my bills account. So as we've been working through the marriage and money concept, one of the things we've decided we're going to do is move all of the subscriptions to have them coming out of my bills account. And we want to move as many as we can to a yearly expense versus having a monthly expense. This is one of his items, Amazon Prime. And he has that as a yearly. That we did look it up. That yearly amount comes out on June the 20th. I've already put in my bills account information so that it will come out of there. Normally it is $139, not even normally. Typically for everyone you would see a $139 here for Prime. And that's still the case. I'm going to pay $139. But remember, I've been putting money into this subscriptions sinking fund. So I already have the $39. I just want to make sure I have a little bit more in there so that we can cover the full cost amount. So I'm going to take $100 out of this paycheck, and the other $39 will be deposited from the sinking fund into that account to cover the full amount of $139. All right. So you see $100 there for right now. All right. So when you look at these totals, $23.10, and again, it's over on the side because I need to be able to have some space for the actuals. So $23.10 is the income total minus expenses of $440, and that equals $1,870. Now, let me just I'm going to make sure 20 plus 320 plus 100 equals, yeah, 440. And then you subtract 2310, and that equals 1870. So I am carrying over 1870. All right, good. Next is the debt. So you see a note here that I have, and I love my little stickies. But the note, and it's funny because I can just stick them right up there. So I've got them with me just in case I need them. But on my closeout for last week, you probably saw that I put aside $53 for the Kohl's purchase that I made, where I used my Kohl's card so I could get the 30% discount. The total of the bill was $53. I've deposited money into the account from the Kohl's sinking fund or my personal binder sinking funds overall to accommodate for this cost amount. So I'm adding that into the normal amount of $90. So typically I pay them $90. I need to add in the $53 that I spent. And so that's $143 that I'm going to pay. So that's why I have this note here. And the reason why I have to have this note here is I'm going to write in pay manually. So the amount that they typically take out is just whatever the minimum payment is. I'm going to go in on Friday after I get paid, and I'm going to manually pay Kohl's the $143 to make sure they take everything out. All right, so we have that. We have the auto, I'll move this over for right now, over there. So we have the auto payment of $503 and then Green Sky on for $90. And you'll notice, you might see that 19th right here. So I am mid-month heavy, and this is the big day for me where all of my main debts are paid. So 503 plus 143 plus 90 equals 736. And that's what you see here, okay? So I had to storm through a little bit on what I'm going to do around sinking funds. So just to explain this form, she had high priority here. She had low priority here. When I say she, it's Baddies and Budgets. That's this budget book that I'm working with. And this is her older version of her budget binder, not the intentional binder that she's selling now. But she had this labeled as high priority, this one labeled as low priority, and then you still had extra savings or investments. I'm doing it a little bit differently. I'm going to use this high priority area to cover all sinking funds together, high or low. I'm going to take that low priority field and I'm making it unbudgeted here. So this is where I will document any unbudgeted expenses. And my hope is it stays blank, just like it's blank now. And then extra savings and investments is still the same. Okay. So for subscriptions, I normally do $35. I'm bumping that up to $40. What I realized is that we've got a few yearly subscriptions that are already established that will be coming out towards the end of this year. So I need to give a little bit more money. Now, I did add up all of our subscriptions, and I'll be honest, I'm starting to document those out here in the Baddies and Budgets forms under this subscription tracker, and we might talk about them, but all of them are listed here. So I'm adding them all. I added them all together. It translated into roughly $70 a month, which for me means $35 every paycheck, and I should be able to cover them. But I'm just starting this process out, so I need to have a little bit more upfront. And then I can get to a point where that $35 makes sense. So I'm bumping this up by another $4 just to help pad it a little bit. Secondly, I'm using $100 out of my income to help take care of this Amazon Prime. That leaves more money in that subscriptions envelope to prepare for some of these ones that are coming in August and October, and a couple of them in December. So that's how I'm tracking this one. So we're going to raise this up for a little bit, and we may be able to bring it back down soon. With that said, one of the other things that we've been working on is moving everything to a yearly subscription that we can. So he's already at a yearly subscription for Ring. It's due in August. I am going to move to a yearly subscription in Ring, and I want to do it at the same time in August as well. So again, all of this is helping us to accomplish that, and I'll let you guys know how successful we are in moving that over. Next, for the family binder, so I want to put aside some money for myself for the vacation that we're getting ready to go on, or the family trip. So I want to put maybe an extra $100 aside for that, and then I'm going to take $20 and put it in in my bonus babies envelope, which I talked about a couple of videos ago. I do want to start establishing them some type of, if not allowance, then Sweets and the kids' mom don't necessarily do the allowance thing, and I want to be respectful, right? This is not about me pushing my agenda on them. So what I'm going to do is take that $20 and put it in an envelope, and then what they really said there's probably going to be more of a need of is covering costs around extracurricular activities. So if they're playing football, or they're doing cheerleading, or they've got different events that might be happening that they want to go to, games or other things, having a fund available to pull from, because that's usually where the trip up happens in a budget, would be great. So that's what I'm going to do with that money. And I think this is a good example of collabing, not trying to force someone to do something that you think makes sense, but listening to the people who really have the biggest stake in the game, and then trying to shift according to that. So that's what we're going to do here. That's that extra 20 that you see here. My personal binder, I need to get my clothes envelope built back up because I just spent all of that money. So I'm going to put $20 in there. I have a Juneteenth challenge that I'm using. That's from Journey to Wisdom and Health, I think is her name, or Wisdom and Wealth. And I'm going to put $30 towards that. And then here are my sinking funds. Now, subscription is a sinking fund. So you might say, well, Monique, why did you pull that out separately? That's because the subscription one, I am going to actually fund with cash. These sinking funds, I fund online. So I just transfer the money into the Ally account and put it in the appropriate bucket. So for Xerxes, I need to get him beefed back up again because he's got a wellness visit that's coming. So I'm going to put 40 in that. I got to beef my emergency back up because I did pull some of those funds. So $50 in there. Property insurance. So this is where I'm using that Lawn Love money. So Lawn Love over here in the corner. Lawn Love was $75 that I saved because I decided to reschedule or postpone the lawn guys coming out for 2 weeks. I'm taking that $75. I'm putting it along with the $75 I wanted to give to property insurance overall. I'm going to make that $150, and that will help cover the cost of the property insurance payment that I need to make in July. It's $161, but I still get another paycheck in between. And I'm going to keep giving money directly to that property insurance envelope so that we are saving for that ahead of time. And then utilities, you'll see here $50. So I have a utilities buffer that I have in Ally account, and that's where I've been putting extra money in preparation for my utility bill going up August, September, and October. So during the summer months, and the way my utilities work, and I don't know if it does for you, but for the electric company, I'm going to use my electricity in June. It's going to be reflected in the July statement that I get for my electricity, and then that will be due in August. So I use up a lot of more electricity because it's hotter June, July, and August, and that comes out in the bills August, September, October. So I'm using this as a way to a utilities buffer. Now, I say that to say Sweets is a very private guy, and I want to be respectful of his family. So I'll say it this way. His daughters were involved in an accident. The oldest daughter was driving, and she's a little banged up, but she's okay. The youngest daughter was in the passenger seat, and unfortunately, that's what took the brunt of the hit or in the accident. So with that said, the oldest daughter is okay. The youngest daughter will be okay. But there are some things that they recognize we want to do to make her feel more comfortable. And one of those things is her bed, just making sure that feels good. So I gave the $50 that I had set aside for utilities buffer, and I gave the money, $56, I think it was, that I had saved in passport sinking funds. So you guys won't see my passport sinking funds anymore. I'm going to push pause on that. I reallocated that money to help with baby girl. And that and the $50 I took out of utilities, I just contributed that to help with that, making her more comfortable when she comes home from the hospital. So with that said, it's good. It's all good. With that said, I do want to put the 50 back for utilities. And like I said, I'm not going to worry about the passport money right now. We're just going to push that over to the side. So when you add all of that together, that's 40, 120, 20, 30, 40, 50, 150, and 50. And that's how I came up with $500 for that one. Okay. Nothing in unbudgeted. Next is extra savings. You'll notice there you've got Monday minis, and I'm putting $60 in that. So overall, I've been able to increase that to $120. So we've got that covered now as well. All right. So when you look at the numbers, you've got income total. Oh, and for Roth and public, you'll see those here. I want to start investing, but I'm not going to budget for that. That'll come out at the end of the month as far as my actuals are concerned. Okay. All right. So income total, 2310, expenses, 440, debt, 736, sinking funds, 500, and then savings, $60. And that gives me, no, not plus, 2310 minus 440 minus 736 minus 500 minus 60, $574. That is how much I should be under budget. And we'll just need to use that for next week. So I'm not going to go crazy with that. All right. So I am tracking my meal plan. It's a lot of small script. Just know I'm going to make a special Father's Day meal. And what I did here, so remember my weeks run from Friday to a Thursday. So this coming Friday, I don't have to cook, but that Saturday I do. This meal plan starts on Sunday. So what you see here, this is Saturday's meal. This is Sunday's meal, and then Wednesday meal. So you'll notice here on the side, I've got Sunday, Wednesday, and Saturday's outlined. Those are the only days I have to cook. Sweets takes care of the rest. So I anticipate spending $27 on the food on Saturday, $38 for the dinner on Sunday, and then $12 for Wednesday's meal. So that totals $77. I don't have to worry about anything for these 2 days. Number one, that would be next week's meals, but number two, we'll be on vacation during that time anyway. And then over here, I did the cash breakdown of how much I need to pull as far as cash is concerned. I stay in the range of 20s, 5s, and 1s because that's what we can get comfortably out the ATM. Sweets goes and gets that money for me. And he's not going to be able to go to a teller and have them give him money out of my account using any type of cash breakdown, etc. So we stay with 20s, 5s, and 1s. With that said, I scratched out Xerxes, emergency, property insurance, and utilities. Like we mentioned before, those are going to stay online. So I just put a line through those. When you add all of these up, everything adds up correctly. So 18 20s, 36 5s, and 31s. And all of that adds up to $570. If you add going down this way and you leave out all of the ones that will remain online, you come up with $570. So all of that worked out fine. And then for my check-in, here are my running balances, ending balance for last week on what I had in each of these envelopes. This is what we're allocating for this week. And then we'll track what was spent and what is remaining. So there you go. That is the budget with me for June 14th through June the 20th. A lot to talk through. Glad we had everything written out. Didn't have to make any edits, so I did everything right, y'all. Yay! All right. That is it. Thanks, everybody, for your time. You guys have a good one.